Hello and welcome to Cozy Creeps, where we bundle up and pretend to be sitting by a cozy fire and listening to spooky tales. I'm Reagan.
I'm River.
And we will be your host for this chilling story. I am so sorry, guys. We're recording late. Like, I should have posted this morning, and we're recording tonight because it's been a hectic week at work for both of us. We're both in restaurants, so Easter was chaotic, so, life. But we are here now. Plus, the topic that I picked had a lot more to it than I was expecting. Like, normally the paranormal ones don't take me that long, but this one took me a bit, so my bad. And our gremlin of a toddler was being her usual gremlin self, so, life. But we are here now, so we are going to be covering an international paranormal topic today because we have a few international listeners, or at least we did. I don't know if you're still there, but if you are, hi. But the first ever international listener we had was from Switzerland. So we found a story from Switzerland for you today.
We hope we do it justice.
We really do, because trying to find information on this was a little tedious. Like, finding actual articles about it, reading them was a little bit tedious. Like, you could tell they were improperly translated and just didn't make sense. I finally found a YouTube video from another podcast called, oh goodness, I deleted it. What was it called? Oh, I can't remember now, and I feel so bad. I'll have to look it up later. But I found this other podcast, and that's what I was listening to figure it out, to like get the information, because it was just so jumbled what I was reading. I couldn't figure it out. So with that, we're gonna jump into it today. So bundle up in your favorite blanket, grab your comfort drinks, and let's get creepy.
Today's bundle cozy drink today, I haven't even had a drink yet.
Wow.
And it's water.
Yours is water?
For now.
Oh, you wimp.
Just
Mine's
kidding,
not
it's
water. Alright, well, let's get into it. So today we are going to be covering the Joller house in Stans, which is in the Nidwalden region of Switzerland. I hope I'm saying all of that right. If I'm not, don't come for me. I'm a dumb American. I'm sorry. But this house was actually one of Switzerland's earliest documented hauntings. So the head of the household is Melchior Joller, his wife Caroline, and their 7 children, Robert, Emmeline, Melanie, Henrika, Edward, Oscar, and Alfred, all lived in the house. And Melchior actually grew up in this house. Like, he was born and raised in this house. It's the family house. So he knows this house. What's up?
That the family names kind of remind me of like some biblical names. Like, remember that John Mulaney bit? He's like, Zephyrius and his wife Rachel. It's like Melchior. What is his name again?
Melchior
and his wife Caroline. Anyways.
Yeah, so there's that, I guess. But so they all lived in the house together. This was his childhood home. So that kind of comes into play later, like when they're trying to figure out what's happening in this house. So Mr. Joller was also a very reputable lawyer. He was a reporter. He was a politician in the area. I think he was in like a low level of parliament in the area, if I'm not mistaken. And he was very skeptical about all this first. And we'll get more into that, but that's just kind of a baseline of who he is, because this does actually end up like damaging his reputation and ruining his career low-key.
So he's a Shaniac?
He was. He started that way. He did not end that way. But with that, we'll get more into the story. So the first account of something happening was actually the servants of the house were the first people to notice strange things happening. One servant had told Mr. Joller that she had heard strange knocking at the head of her bed on a night in the fall of 1860, and she believed that it was a sign that someone was going to die. Like, apparently there was a superstition, like hearing a certain type of knocking was a symbol that someone was going to die. I'm having him stop our cat from chewing on my laptop charger. So sorry, y'all. Anyway.
I wonder if the knock was like, ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding. That would have been funny. But we don't know exactly what it was. There was just a lot of knocking noises. But so Mr. Joller told the servant not to speak about the incident, but this was just the beginning of crazy things happening in this house. So a few weeks later, a knocking noise actually woke up his wife Caroline and their second daughter Melanie, who they were sharing a room. Melchior was out of town on business, and apparently she would come and sleep with her mom whenever he was out of town. And so they were woken up by knocking noises throughout the bedroom. And according to them, it sounded as if the knocking noises were trying to communicate with them. Like they were trying to communicate through knocks, and it just really freaked them out. Mr. Joller, however, believed it to be a build issue with the bed frame. He just thought maybe the bed frame was built wrong or something, and so it was just making a weird knocking noise when they moved. And he didn't think it was anything paranormal.
Classic house is settling.
Yeah,
argument.
The house is settling. What do you mean? But so that would kind of be the last little thing that would happen until June of 1861. Now this started in the fall of 1860. So we're jumping all the way into 1861 now. And this would be when their son Oscar, who was 9 at the time, was nowhere to be found when they had called him for dinner. And so the family was concerned, so they went to search for him. And they found him passed out in a log storage room in the house. And when he woke up, he explained that he'd heard some knocks and he'd gone to investigate it. And when he came to the door, I guess, to the log storage room, it suddenly flung open. There was a shapeless white entity that came through the door, and he just passed out at that point. So he was really freaked out by this. And so that was the beginning of the next kind of set of things to start happening in this house. And then in the following days, the young boys of the family who slept in a room on the second floor above the living room kept hearing knocking sounds that sounded like they were coming from the floor above, even though there wasn't really anyone up there at that time from what I could read. Mr. Joller even noted that he had actually heard scratching noises coming from the wall, which, as people who have lived in an apartment that squirrels got into our wall, that is terrifying. It is so scary hearing that, even when you know for sure it's an animal. Like, we saw the hole that they climbed through. It was wild. But yeah, that is terrifying regardless. But he actually assumed it was an animal, like a rat or something stuck in the walls. So he, again, just doesn't think anything of this and moves on from it.
I'd almost be, more concerned if it was an animal on the wall. Because at the very least, if it's paranormal, I'm like, it's just a freaking ghost.
It's the ghost again.
But if it's a rat or a squirrel, I'm like, ugh, now I gotta fumigate and, tear the wall down,
hope it doesn't die in there, because then it's gonna stink.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that scenario of, like, you hear something go bump in the night, and you're like, do I hope it's a ghost or an intruder? Like, if it's an intruder, okay, at least my house isn't haunted, and I'm not gonna get freaked out all the time. But, like, if it's a ghost, at least it's not an intruder.
I'm 100% for ghosty boys.
I know, I think I'd rather have the ghost in my house than an intruder.
Let me throw hands with a phantasm.
Let me throw hands with that ghost. Let's go.
Spit some ectoplasm. Like, come on, bro.
Gross. Anyway, so that fall, a maid reported that she had actually seen a gray figure throughout the house, and that she had actually seen someone walking up the stairs past her room while she was up at night cleaning shoes. Even though no one was awake, no one else was in the house, it was just her, like, doing some work, and she sees this gray figure walking by her, and she even heard it call her name, and then she started hearing profoundly disturbing sobs, quote unquote. Now, Mr. Joller, again, he's just real tired of this paranormal stuff, apparently. He tells the maid not to speak of these events, especially in front of the children, feeling that the maid was being very superstitious. She was going to scare the kids, and they were going to start acting like they were seeing things because they heard an adult talk about it. And so he was just like, stop talking about it. But shortly after this, his 11-year-old daughter, Henrika, actually claimed to have seen a small, she said, cheerful-looking child who was half-clothed come towards her in the living room while she was doing schoolwork. Now, at first, she thought it was one of her brothers, which the podcast I was listening to was like, how do you not know what your brother looks like? And I do have to agree with that. Like, what? But yeah, apparently she thought it was one of her brothers until she saw the child just disappear in front of her. And so this scared her so much that she actually refused to go into the living room for a while, apparently. So, yeah. So after this, Mr. Joller thinks that this is the maid's fault because she was talking about all these scary ghost stories and stuff. And so he fires her, and they replace her with a 13-year-old girl.
Bruh.
Listen, I know it's the 1860s, but yeah, bruh. So, There actually was some speculation I read in one article that like he may have claimed it was her superstitious behavior that got her to that was the reason he fired her, but it was actually maybe due to like financial issues. Couldn't find anything more on that. I just saw like a little note of it in one of the articles I read, but
You said he was
yeah.
a lawyer?
He was a lawyer, a reporter, and a low-level politician in the area. So I don't know if it was
Jeez.
actually like financial issues or what it was. I just read that in one article. I thought it was interesting, so I just wanted to add it there. But yeah, let's keep in mind that the maid that he hired was 13 years old. So for the rest of the story, whenever I talk about the maid, it's a 13-year-old girl. So let's just keep that in mind with how everything goes down in this story, because I would be freaked out too if I was a 13-year-old girl in a haunted house.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So even after this, even after he fired the maid, though, the family was still hearing knocking and scratching from within the walls. Now they would go through this winter again with no activity, and the activity in the house wouldn't really pick up again until the summer of 1862. And boy, oh boy, when it picked up, it picked up.
So the winters, there was no activity?
Yeah, for some reason there wasn't anything really happening in the winter time. For the first year and a half, and then the activity picks up, and the family does eventually leave the house. We'll get there.
I guess the ghost was migrating.
I guess
for the winter.
so.
It's cold. It's too cold.
They're too cold. They're frozen. They're like, we're done. Bye bye.
Gonna go haunt people in Italy,
They bundled up in their cozy blankets and said, "I'm gonna go sleep now." Nah.
polishing their shoes or
Right?
whatever.
They're hibernating. So this all starts up again in August of 1862. Sorry, guys. So on August 15th, Mr. Joller took his wife and their son Robert to Lucerne, and they left the house around 7 a.m. that morning. So they left the house, and the rest of the children were left with their oldest daughter, 14-year-old Melanie, and this 13-year-old servant girl. Again, like you said earlier with the John Mulaney bit, it's like that next bit he does where he's talking about like you thinking your babysitter is so much older than you, and as an adult, and you find out in your older years that they were only like 2 years older than you. And it's like a horse watching a dog or something. Yeah, that was...
I should have thought the same thing.
Yeah, so that's basically what happened. So young little Henrika starts hearing knocking noises, and she tells Melanie and the servant girl. They go and investigate, and two of the boys, Oscar and Edward, come as well, trying to coax out the spirit, which I can just imagine two little boys just being such little turds, and like if there is something paranormal going on, them making it so much worse. Like,
Wasn't like Scooby and the gang like 16? Weren't they like super young as well?
I think they were super young. I don't remember how old
I
exactly.
could have sworn they were, but they like just look so much older in the
Yeah.
old animated show.
Yeah.
I thought they were, yeah.
Oh.
Reminds me of that. Just got freaking
Yeah.
Shaggy and Scooby trying to coax out the ghost, and then you got, your elder teenager.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But obviously, since they're children, they all were super scared, and they left the house. They sat on the front porch of the steps, or the front steps of the house, and like were going kind of back and forth like into the house to see if things were still happening. At one point, a stone had actually been thrown between two of the kids, and it came from nowhere. Like, no one else threw the stone. They don't know where it came from. So yeah, the ghost is throwing things at them now. So they finally go back in around lunchtime to eat, and when they go back in, they see that every cupboard and door has been opened. So they're like, what the heck? So they go around and they close every door, and then the doors that they could bolt shut, they did go ahead and bolt shut. And the ghost response to this, open all the doors again, including the ones that had been bolted shut.
Bro.
Yeah.
So they stayed outside until they got hungry, and they're like, okay, well,
They had kind of gone back and forth periodically to like check in, and they kept hearing noises, getting freaked out and running away. I mean, they're little kids. Like,
my hunger supersedes my
yeah.
fear.
I think they sent the 13-year-old maid and were like, go make lunch. And they were like, okay, we'll follow behind her. She's not seeing anything. So, speaking of the maid, speaking of this poor 13-year-old girl, she had gone back into the kitchen, presumably to make lunch and everything. And when she was in the kitchen, she looks down the corridor and sees what she thought was a sheet hanging from the stairs banister. And then upon further inspection, though, she noticed that the sheet was kind of rounded at the top, and it looked as if there were two black legs coming at the bottom. Like, it looks like a stereotypical sheet ghost.
What if this is all just an elaborate prank from like the Young Brothers?
Yeah, we'll get into that. That's apparently a theory that some of the townspeople had, but like there was no proof of it, obviously.
It's the
It's the
1800s.
1860s. They bored. But yeah, so she sees this and she calls out to the figure asking like who's there, and the entity like made a weird noise and then just vanished, disappeared. This obviously scared her, and so she ran out of the house. And then the kids were also hearing heavy footsteps, and so they also ran out of the house.
I wonder if they
Everyone's
finished
running
lunch.
the house. You know what? I don't know if they did. I really don't.
Get the sandwiches.
Get the sandwiches. We gotta go. Grab the PB&Js and the crackers. Let's go, guys. So they had run to a nearby barn on the property, and they took turns running back to the house to see what was happening, which was a lot apparently. They could hear the sound of furniture moving. They could hear a voice from like through an open window saying, "Even if no one at all is around," in a sad and like groaning voice. And they even heard like a singing noise coming from the upstairs area. So they're hearing and seeing a lot of crazy things happen every time they go and check, and they're like, "Nope, I'm not going back in there. Nope, nope, nope." And I don't blame them. Now, eventually, they did go back in the house for dinner because hunger supersedes everything, obviously. And while the maid was cooking, they saw a light kind of thing come down the chimney. The maid said that it looked like a sugar loaf, which I did look up what this was.
A loaf of sugar.
Basically, it's like a conical shaped like lump of sugar that they would like compress, so you just had like your lump of sugar right there ready to go. Yeah,
So it's like an ice
It's
cream
literally-
cone of sugar.
pretty much. Just a giant thing of sugar.
It's like a salt lake, but for the horses.
Basically, but sugar.
Give me that meat,
Give me that sugar.
that mineral.
Give me that sugar. But yeah, that's what it was. Or that's what she said it looked like, but it had little blue flames coming off of it that then exploded in the fireplace and doused the fire with water somehow.
Were these kids on something?
Bro,
Was this sugar loaf like LSD?
No, that's what the thing looked like. They didn't touch the sugar loaf. That's what was coming down the chimney, and that's what it looked like.
Also, it's not a loaf. I know that's what they called it, but like, just call it a sugar cone.
I don't know. They just called it a sugar loaf. Don't at me. That's probably just the translation of it, too, from, you know, but whatever. Not the point. So at this point, the children, who are rightfully freaked out, run to a different area of the house. And this is where their mom finds them, like, crying and terrified and freaking out, obviously. So they then also tried to tell their dad what had happened, and he just brushes it off like nothing was going on. So the children were kind of like, all right, I guess we won't tell dad when weird things are happening anymore. Bye, dad. However, poor Mr. Joller would start to change his tune real soon as this paranormal activity starts happening more and more around him to the point where he can't explain it away. So on August 19th, after returning home, Mrs. Joller called out to her husband and asked him to listen to a peculiar knocking sound she'd been hearing. So it was coming from their pantry, the back wall of their pantry. And he hears this knocking too. It sounds like there's like 10 to 12 knocks, a pause, and then the knocks would move to a different spot on the wall and do the same thing over and over. Yeah, so it was just really weird. Now he thought it was like a rat or a rodent stuck in a wall, and so he struck the wall trying to scare the rodent. However, the thing knocked back. Whatever it was knocked back in the same way he had just knocked. Yeah. So it's intelligently responding to him like, "Oh, you think you're funny? Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba." So he goes and he searches the room thoroughly. He doesn't find any sign of an animal. He's even looking for intruders at this point, thinking someone's in his house, and doesn't find anything. And so that night after dinner, he actually goes and reads a chapter from a prayer book. I cannot pronounce this name. I tried. I think it's Shulks, I think is how it's pronounced. I could be wrong again. Don't at me.
I'm gonna spell it for you. ZSCHOKKE.
Yeah. So
Sounds like a lot of silent letters.
right. But so he reads a chapter from that book called The Power of Superstition, and while he's reading it, the knocking noises are still continuing all around the house and around him.
Petty. So petty.
Betty. There's even a knock on, like, just in the middle of the living room floor that he could not explain. Obviously, it's in the middle of the floor. And so his children apparently are hearing this and like seeing this happen, and they apparently just sarcastically asked him if he thought that was a rat too. Like, "Oh, Dad, you think that's a rat too?" just being sassy, like, oh, you didn't believe us?
The petty supersedes the fear.
I just love that this is an 1860s family, and apparently they act just like a normal, like, 2000s family. Like, oh, so you think that's a rat too, Dad? Like, I think that's funny. I don't know.
It's not a phase, Mom.
It's not a phase, Dad. It's a real ghost. Anyway, so armed with a candle and a knife, because again, he thinks there's an intruder in the house, Mr. Joller searches the ground floor and the cellar of the house, and he can't find anything. He has no idea where the sound is coming from. And so he's just like, okay, I can't find anything. They go to bed, and that night, all but the older two boys were freaked out by something. They were screaming, and they ran into their parents' room and slept in there with them. But there were just knocking sounds throughout the room as well, throughout the parents' room as well. So according to Mr. Joller, the knocking started in like the west corner of the room, moved along the wall, and ended with like harder knocks hitting the footboard of the bed. So this ghost is just really messing with them. Now, this is kind of hard to explain. Like, I hope I explained this right. So Mr. Joller said, like, they could feel the bed, like, violently shaking, but he put his hand on the footboard, and he felt very minimal vibrations. Like, they could hear the knocking coming from the footboard. They're feeling the whole bed shake, but when he put his hand actually on the footboard, it didn't feel as if anything was hitting it. Which is weird, because again, they're hearing it, they're feeling the bed shake, but like when he actually goes to touch where like probably the most violent shaking should be happening, he's not feeling anything. So it's just really weird.
Sounds like a lot of physics at work.
Yeah, a lot of weird physics, ghost physics are happening. Ooh. So the sound of heavy blows were also heard on the walls, and even like they went through the house again, like with all the lighting candles and everything, trying to like be like, okay, maybe we're just not seeing something because it's dark, and they just could not find anything. They could not figure out where this knocking noises are coming from, and the knocking and banging continued until about midnight that night, and then finally quieted down.
The ghost got sleepy.
And then starting bright and early at 6 a.m. on August 20th, the knocking and banging noises began again, starting at the living room door, where it sounded like the door was being hit by a heavy mallet.
This just sounds more annoying than anything.
Right?
Like, if you're gonna like be a real ghost, like, mess me up. Scratch me, make me bleed, make me feel like you're actually dangerous.
Alright, so if we live in a haunted house, you're gonna have your own space, and you're gonna stay in there, and you can have fun with the ghost, okay? No. The rest of the house can just be basic knocks, but you can get messed up, and that's your problem.
Well, it's like, if you're gonna be a ghost, be a real ghost.
Be a real ghost!
Don't just annoy me.
Be a real ghost! Don't worry, we'll get there.
My fan makes a clicking noise, and it bothers the heck out of me. Like, that's the same level of pettiness this ghost is giving me right now. You know?
It's okay. They actually start citing it more and more here in a bit.
Okay.
So, at this point, though, the sounds can be heard throughout the house. The kitchen, living room, bedrooms, just everywhere. And at one point, like one day, the maid kept coming into the living room and telling the family what she was experiencing, because she's a 13-year-old girl. She's probably freaked out, too. And so one of the times she said she heard a voice groaning and saying, "Have pity on me." And another time she had seen a gray form walking by and was just like, "What the heck is that?" So she's just coming and telling them all. And again, she's 13. She's probably freaked out. So Mr. Joller, having grown up in the house, like I said, and being very familiar with every area of it, goes and searches again. He searches the whole house. Still finds nothing. So at this point, he even is trying to figure out like how the knocking noise is happening on the doors. And so he actually like put his hand on a door as the knocking sound was happening, felt no vibration. So it didn't even feel like someone was knocking, but he could clearly hear someone knocking on the door. And then he also actually held one of the doors open as the knocking sound was happening and was looking at both sides of the door, seeing absolutely nothing happen. But hearing the noise right there.
They're knocking from a quantum dimension.
They're knocking.
It's quantum entanglement.
They're
knocking,
knocking, knocking
from a different dimension. Very, very logical
I like the way
analysis.
he was trying to figure this out. Like, he was
bro,
really...
I'm about to explain this
He was
away.
trying so hard to, like, find a real explanation for this and was just struggling.
Does not sound like a very jolly time.
Anyway, we're moving on from that. So this part actually kind of creeped me out a bit. So one night, Mr. and Mrs. Joller were in bed, and they both reported having felt a hand run through their hair. So both of them felt this during the night. They felt a small hand run through their hair, and they stated that it felt like the hand of like a small child. And so Mrs. Joller actually reached up because she felt it. She was like, what is that? She reaches up and feels what, like she said it felt like she had grabbed a small child's like warm hand. And she was like, what creepy. She was like, okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so that at that point, Mr. Joller can't deny something's happening, so they call on a priest for help. Now, apparently this priest, not helpful. he told them that they should have these happenings thoroughly investigated. Like, priest, isn't that your job?
It's like, bro, I ain't qualified for this shit.
Apparently the priest was like, I'm not qualified enough for this. So he did a basic house blessing and then left.
Equivalent of just burning sage and leaving.
Pretty much. He's like, all right, guys, I burned some sage. Bye. This didn't help. Fun fact. So after the after the priest was absolutely no help, the Joller family brought in the police because I guess they're better equipped to handle ghosts than a priest is.
They got the blicky.
Not in the 1860s, and especially not in Switzerland, I would think. I don't know how else police force works. They aren't with the church, though. They're just the police. The priest already dipped. I don't know. So the priest, though, before dipping, did also recommend that the family kind of keep what's happening in the home quiet so as not to freak out the people of the town. But it's the 1860s, and it's boring, and there's nothing better to do than gossip, so word gets out.
And polish shoes.
And polish shoes. She's
a
a maid. They got word. They got work to do. Yeah, it was the maid doing that. Yeah, so she was still working late into the night.
Bruh, I'd be doom scrolling. Wait, I'm not gonna pause.
Back in my day, doom scrolling on what, babe? It's the 1860s.
A book. I don't know.
Anyway, bye bye. But so the people of the town have nothing better to do but gossip, so word gets out. And people actually start coming to the house to see the hauntings for themselves.
No.
Now, at first, the Joller family was actually kind of grateful for this because it gave them more witnesses to what was happening. So it wasn't like, people were like, no, we're hearing this too, we're seeing this too. Now, the police agreed with Melchior's findings that, like, there weren't any animals, there weren't any intruders. Okay, but then what is it? Like, that's it. They were just like, yeah, you're right. That's it. So this story keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it even spreads to a national level. Like, this is hitting all the newspapers. Like, it's getting crazy. And there were just a bunch of crazy rumors about what was happening. And one of the craziest rumors was that one of the Joller sons may have actually been the cause of everything happening because he'd been seen with a troupe of actors, and apparently at this time, actors were regarded the same way as, like, magicians and tricksters were. They also said a certain word that is actually a slur, spelled G-Y-P. Oh, crap, I can't spell it. I don't want to say it, though. But,
What is it? Tell me.
Go away.
I'll say it.
It's if you've seen Hunchback of Notre Dame, Esmeralda,
We can't say that word?
that's a slur.
What?
It's a slur. Fun fact, that's a slur.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
That's a
So-
slur?
Yeah, it's a slur. Fun fact.
Oops.
Oopsies. Fun fact, everyone. If you didn't know, it's a slur. But basically,
Rhymes with hipsy.
yeah, it does. There we go. Thank you. But so people, they were kind of regarded on the same level as that. Which, again, people just saw them as tricksters, saw them as, like, thieves and all these other things. There was very negative connotations with it. I think that's why it's considered,
Question.
a slur.
Do you know if Disney said that word in the movie, though?
I don't think they did. I don't know. I
Because
don't
if they
remember.
said it, I'll say it.
No, wrong, bad, no. Anyway, but yeah, so people had learned that one of their young sons had learned sorcery from this troupe of actors and was using it to scare people for his own amusement.
My magic trick of poker face.
Knocking. I make knocks. But yeah, this rumor had actually gotten into a local scandal sheet that then went on to be published in more and more newspapers. So this was like crazy stories about this house, and these people were just spreading like wildfire.
Slow news cycle.
Right? I guess so. I guess it was boring at that time. But over the next week, because Melchior was like a low-level member of parliament, he had some pull within the community, the family had guards stay with them in the house, so other people, again, were experiencing what was happening as well. A committee was formed to investigate, and an official investigation was opened to find out what's happening in this house.
Sounds like some improper use of power.
Now the committee had the family leave the house for a few days to investigate, and then a few days later told the family to come back because the activity had died down.
Damn, this goes down to vendetta.
So these people saw things happening. It's not like they were like, oh, nothing happened. No, it died down. So they saw something happen. They saw things happening probably and were like, oh, I chilled out. You can come back. Okay, but what was happening? They didn't answer the question of what was it.
We have these questions now, and with all the technology and REM pods and spirit boxes and all that stuff, we still can't get any concrete evidence.
Yeah, but it's just like, what was the point of this investigation? And like, y'all just wanted to come sit in the house and be like,
we had some budget to burn in the tax.
We were
the
bored.
tax money.
So the family comes back and shocker, things are still happening. I know, crazy, right?
They're just polishing shoes when they were away. Nothing else to do.
The members of this committee. Yep, I guess so. So apparently Melchior has a whole memoir about like these happenings. And that's where a lot of this information comes from. And he likes to note that a lot of this happened on bright, sunny days. So it's not like, oh, it was a dark and stormy night, like the stereotype and the cliche. It was, no, these things were happening like in broad daylight. So this next thing he very pointedly says happened on a bright and sunny day around noon. Their daughter Emmeline had been in the garden and she hears a noise on the trellis wall of the house. So she looks up and sees a pale figure coming from like a window of a corridor, and the figure's like leaning out the window and grabbing onto the trellis. Now at first, yes.
What's a trellis?
It's the thing that vines grow on. The little like lattice.
Oh, that's cool.
Hey babe.
Don't. I know. Okay. I know exactly what she's gonna say.
Chime off in the comments.
I want to preface this that I went to Sprang, and we weren't a very prosperous school district.
I went to a bougie white people's school district.
So again, chime off if you know what this word means.
Oh my god, I can't think of the word now. What was the word? Remind me of it. I can't think of it.
I don't
now.
know the word.
Oh, what is it? Oh, topiary.
Yeah.
What's topiary? Chime off in the comments if you know. And if you don't know, chime off in the comments who you agree with, if you should just know that word as an adult or not.
In our group chat, again, a bunch of my friends whom also went to Sprang, I was like, hey, does anyone know what topiary means?
And all of them said no.
Rightfully so. They're like, what the fuck does that mean?
I'm judging. Anyway,
tangent over.
not the point. So that's what a trellis is. It's like the lattice kind of wood thing that vines will grow off.
Did you know what that word meant before this?
Trellis, yeah. I knew what a trellis was.
I didn't. Another one is dollar words. It's a big word for Elmo.
You're pretty.
I am.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Anyway, moving on from that. So Emmeline had thought that this was the housemaid, which again, how do you not know what this girl looks like, apparently? But she thought it was the housemaid picking grapes off the vines. So at first she didn't pay much attention to the figure, but then to quote Melchior's like memoir, then she noticed the figure's straight hair, hairnet, and dark neckerchief were rather unusual, and that the head was sunk forward with an air of melancholy. Yeah, like just womp. She called out for the maid, who then came out of the cellar. The figure above her didn't respond. The maid came out of the cellar, a completely different part of the house, and the figure ducked under the leaves of the trellis and just disappeared.
Oof.
Yeah. Again, I'm coming back to, how do you not know what this poor girl looks like? Like this poor
This
13
is twice now.
It's two different children who are seeing like an apparition of some sort, and the first one thought it was one of her younger brothers, which is like, how do you not know what one of your younger brothers looks like? But then this is a different child, but she's thinking it's the maid. But this happens a lot, apparently. They think they see these figures and think it's the maid, and it's like, do y'all not know what she looks like?
I'm not
like, she's
paid to know
in
what she
your
looks like.
house all the time. Like, what?
She's supposed to. Well, she's the ghost all along.
She was the ghost all along.
To get back at her for forgetting who she was.
Well, no, because the first maid who was there got fired, and then they replaced her with this poor little
that's
13-year-old
right.
girl. Yeah. So Moving on. So Mr. Joller, this one's just kind of a weird thing that he experienced. He had reported hearing a noise coming from the corridor that sounded like someone in floppy shoes was sweeping towards the living room, but no one was there. But he said it was just so realistic sounding, like he had to go and double check that no one was actually there.
And flip-flops weren't
In the
invented till
flip-flops.
1900s. I'm just kidding. I
In
just
the
made that number up.
flip-flops. But yeah, so the banging continues, objects are moving, and things are kind of starting to escalate a bit more. Curtains are being wrapped around their curtain rods, drawers are being opened, slammed shut, stuff dumped out of them. Now, two of the children,
There's a toddler afoot.
there may have
When does
actually.
all of that? Not the
I don't
curtain
know.
rods.
I don't know how old their youngest was actually. So like it could be possible, but I don't know.
Clothing pulled out of her drawers. A kid does that.
Yeah, it's like toddlers do that. Trust me, I've watched it happen so much. The amount of times I have to put my kids' laundry up when I just only did it like once a day ago, and the amount of times I put it back within a 24-hour period is ridiculous. Not the point.
Exactly the point.
Exactly the point. But so anyway, two of the children, while at dinner one night, had actually seen what looked like a transparent, like fuzzy-looking silhouette tripping towards them, is what they said. Which the podcast I was listening to said, like, maybe they had, like, the ghost had, like, a limp or something. I don't know. But they said it looked like it was tripping towards them from the front door, down the corridor, and then into the living room, where they then heard several loud knocks, and then a door was slammed shut and the figure disappears.
That just sounds funny to imagine. I just imagine a ghost. You ever seen the videos of, like, the dude, like, slipping on ice for, like, 30 seconds straight? That's what I imagine this ghost just perpetually falling forward. I would just laugh.
It sounds awful. Now, this next story I'm going to tell, it's a little cuckoo nuts bananas. Or should I say apples? Because you see, at another time, an apple was seen jumping around and acting strangely with no one touching it. Around 8 a.m. one morning, Mr. Joller saw an apple that had appeared to be thrown from the upper level of the house past him and continued hopping down the steps.
That's called bouncing.
No, it keeps going. Because then it hops down the corridor and into the kitchen. The maid who was in the kitchen took the apple, put it on the table, but then the apple decided, no, I don't want to be here, and starts hopping down the corridor.
Yeah, there must have been a worm on the inside, just like...
So the maid, who's rightfully freaked out because, again, she's a 13-year-old girl, gets freaked out, picks up the apple, throws it out the kitchen window, but then it flew back through the window into the kitchen and landed on the kitchen table. Then the apple decided, okay, I'm done being in the kitchen, bounced through the kitchen, down the corridor, into the living room, where it chilled for a bit, and then sat in a corner of the room, like that was by their bedroom door, I guess. And that's where the apple chilled.
You know what? I would have taken the apple and just ate it.
Apparently it was quite bruised at this point.
You know, I would have done it just to show it who's boss.
But then we're not done with these fruity exploits. Mr. Joller went into the kitchen a little while later, and a pear seemingly fell from the ceiling, and it nearly hit him, and it landed with such force onto the floor that it actually, like, squashed. Like, it just went onto the floor. No, every other person in the house was in the bedroom except for the maid. She was in the kitchen, but she was standing at, like, the hearth in the kitchen, and he had just walked in when this happened. So she wasn't near him. He could probably see her, and she obviously didn't throw a pear up and have it go whoop. Like, again, she's a 13-year-old girl. I don't think she's going to be throwing fruit at her employers. This is the 1860s, which, as awful as it is to say, I'm pretty sure they could beat her. So, like, I don't think she was going to do that.
No one called witch?
Witch? No one called witch, oddly enough. So as all of this is happening, the public is still finding out about this more and more and hearing these crazy stories and becoming fascinated with it, and the story is just continuing to spread, and people are now just hanging out outside the house and wanting to come into the house and see everything, and the Jollers at this point are over it. They're like, we already have enough crap happening in our house. We don't need a bunch of random people in the house too. Like, get out, go away. But,
Start charging.
people actually started breaking into the house to try and experience what was going on. So there was just a lot happening to this poor family at this point. So the knocking is continuing. Stones are being thrown at the family now. Like, the ghost is throwing stones at them. Footsteps are being heard throughout the house. Figures are being seen through the house. The family thinks it's the maid. Fun fact, it's not. Because apparently they just don't know what this poor girl looks like. And at this point, I think at this point it was like September or later in the year. The family is done. They are done with this. They leave the house and they move to Zurich. Now,
Zurich's in...
still in Switzerland. Just a major city in Switzerland.
I was never good at geometry.
Oh, anyway. It's okay, babe. Anyway, there is speculation that the ghost who was haunting the family was Melchior's own grandmother, Veronica Gutt, who apparently didn't agree with Melchior's political ideas, but there's no definitive proof of this. But, like, apparently, I don't know exactly where this came from. It wasn't fully fleshed out, but, like, apparently, I guess, probably, like, a scandal sheet. Let's be real. They would probably say something like this. But, like, it was even claimed that she died just so she could haunt him because she was so annoyed with his political ideas.
Would you haunt me?
Do you want me to?
Yeah. Anyways.
Bet. Anyway.
Would you still love me if I was a worm?
Would you still love me if I was a worm? Yeah, that's the same vibe it gave. But, so, this whole situation, though, because it was so publicly broadcasted and just in newspapers all over the country, this just ruined Melchior's reputation. Like, because, think about it. Do you really want to go into your lawyer's office and find out that, like, he thinks his house is haunted by a ghost? Like,
I mean,
you know,
if he's good at his job, sure.
Yeah, but this is the 1860s. Like, people are extremely religious, superstitious, and stuff like that. So, like, I could totally see someone being like, no, I don't want that quack being my lawyer. He thinks his house is haunted.
People are superstitious and whatever the other word you said is these days.
Yeah, but it's kind of a different vibe, you know, these days
so.
than it was back then.
True.
But yeah, so his career was ruined because of this poor man, as if he hadn't dealt with enough. But after all this, apparently, I didn't get too much detail on this, but every article I read kind of ended with the house was so, like, people were so scared of this house and, like, so freaked out by it that no one would purchase the home or, like, move in and live there. So they tore it down in 2010.
Dang.
Yeah.
If only I wasn't 12.
I know. If only I wasn't 12. I would have totally bought the house.
Wait, was I actually 12?
Wait, no. You were born in 96, so you would have been 14?
14. I was a freshman.
Freshman!
I didn't do the math.
Math is hard. But,
Geography is hard.
Stop with the geography, I swear to God. But yeah, so no one would buy the house, so it was torn down because it was too haunted, apparently. People were too freaked out. They were like,
I wonder if the ghost went somewhere else.
I
What
wonder.
if they're just knocking on the ground now?
Well, keep in mind, at one point the ghost said, like, something along the lines of, even if no one is around at all. So I'm kind of wondering if the ghost is just bonking around the house still.
I wonder if they followed them, the Jollers.
No, apparently, from what I read, they didn't experience anything else after they left the house.
Huh.
So they were good after they left the house. So it was something there. But it's weird, too, because I had read, like, in their childhood, they didn't, like, Mr. Joller and his siblings didn't experience anything in the house. Like, so it was just a very random and sudden thing that started happening. Foreign exchange ghost, who knows?
Do you think, this is for people listening, do you think ghosts haunt locations or things?
Both. I think it can be both.
Thanks, audience.
Well, you know what? You asked the question, I want to answer it.
That's fair.
Anyway.
Please, my love, continue.
Rude. I think it could be both, though. Like, honestly, because if you think about it, like, they're just attaching to something. So whether it's a location, like a house or a building, or, like, they attach themselves to a teddy bear, like what we see with, like, haunted dolls and stuff. You know, it just depends on what the ghost actually attaches to, I think.
So
but I don't know. What do y'all think?
Of a ghost attaching to a person?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything like that, but I could be wrong. But yeah, chime off in the comments what y'all think it is, because I want to hear y'all's thoughts on that too, actually. But yeah, with that, that is the Joller house in Switzerland. So to our international listeners who probably aren't here anymore, they're like, God, these people are weird. These Americans, hoy. Thank you all for listening. We do appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Cozy Creeps. Now, just a reminder, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, so Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, I think iHeartRadio, there's a bunch of them. So y'all can get us there. We do also have a Facebook page, Instagram page, YouTube channel, and a TikTok, all under Cozy Creeps Podcast. So if you want to just check us out there, you can. I'm still waiting to get some listener stories in so that way we can start doing listener stories, because I just think those are so fun, like hearing people's true like stories, like just I think it's cool. I don't know. But so if you have any spooky or true crime stories, you can send them to cozycreepspodcast@gmail.com with the subject line listener stories. You can also feel free to comment or email us some recommendations for stories you would like to hear covered in the future. Like, I really love finding these smaller little stories to like kind of talk about and research, so I would love to hear y'all's recommendations. Now, the goal is to get the episodes out every Monday. This week was a little bit of a challenge, obviously. But keep an eye out for the next one coming. And with that, go bundle up in your warm blankets, finish off your comfort drinks, and stay cozy. Bye!